I never thought something as simple as a hobby could unravel my life. My wife, Clara, had always been the more creative one. She was the kind of person who'd stop mid-walk just to snap a photo of a cracked sidewalk, claiming it looked poetic. I loved that about her, or at least I used to. About 6 months ago, Clara mentioned she wanted to take a drawing course at the local art center. She'd always doodled in the margins of notebooks, little sketches of flowers and faces that, to my untrained eye, seemed beautiful in their own messy way. I encouraged her. Actually, I pushed her to do it. She'd been restless ever since leaving her marketing job to focus on herself. "You should have something that's just yours," I told her. God, how I regret those words now. The class was run by a man named Adrian. I only heard about him in passing at first. He was the course administrator, not even the teacher, just the one who managed the schedules, materials, and the endless stream of art students. She'd talk about him casually. "Adrian says the studio is getting new easels." Or, "Adrian helped me pick out the right paper for charcoal." It seemed harmless. But over time, his name came up more often. She'd say it with this subtle warmth that made something deep in my gut tighten. "Adrian says I'm improving a lot." Or, "Adrian has such a great eye for art." I brushed it off as friendly admiration. I was busy with work anyway, late nights, endless meetings. Maybe I was too distracted to notice the shift in her tone. Looking back, the first real sign was how much effort she started putting into her appearance before class. Clara was always naturally pretty, soft brown hair, sharp green eyes, but she'd been more casual since working from home. Suddenly, she was wearing makeup again. Not a lot, just enough to make her look polished, radiant. She'd bought new clothes, simple but flattering, a cardigan that clung just right, jeans that highlighted her legs. I remember one Friday evening vividly. I got home earlier than usual, hoping to surprise her. She was standing by the mirror in the hallway, carefully applying a deep red lipstick she almost never wore. "Wow," I said, leaning against the doorway. "You look incredible. Hot date tonight." I smiled to make it a joke, but she froze for a fraction of a second before laughing softly. "Don't be silly. It's just the drawing class," she said, tossing the lipstick into her bag. Something about the way she avoided my eyes lingered in my mind long after she left. Then the schedule changes began. The class was supposed to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but suddenly she had extra practice sessions, or special studio hours. Adrian was opening up for a few students. It didn't make sense. Why would an administrator need to be there so late? But again, I didn't push. I trusted her. I kept telling myself it was nothing, that she just needed this outlet, that she was rediscovering herself, and I should be supportive. But the distance between us grew. She became more distracted at home, more secretive with her phone. Conversations felt hollow, like she was half present, always thinking about something or someone else. She started staying out later, coming home smelling faintly of turpentine and something else I couldn't place. One night, as she showered, her phone lit up on the nightstand. I swear I didn't want to snoop, I hate that. But the notification was impossible to ignore. "Adrian, thinking about you. Can't wait for Tuesday. Same time?" My stomach dropped. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. The implication was enough to make my hands shake. For the next few days, I went through the motions. I couldn't confront her yet. I needed to be sure. I told myself maybe it was innocent, maybe I was reading too much into it. But the seed of doubt was planted, and it grew fast. The following week, I told her I had a late meeting and wouldn't be home until after 10. In reality, I parked a block away from the arts center and waited. I felt like some cliché from a bad movie, sitting there in the dark, staring at the entrance like a fool. At 9:15, I saw her. She stepped out of the building with him, Adrian. He was taller than me, casually stylish, the kind of guy who probably never had to try too hard. She laughed at something he said, her hand lightly brushing his arm. They didn't look like a teacher and a student. They looked like two people who shared a secret. They walked to his car together. He opened the door for her, and she hesitated, just for a moment, before sliding in. He got behind the wheel, and they drove off into the night. I sat there frozen. My entire world felt like it had tilted. I didn't follow them. I didn't need to. I already knew. When she came home later that night, her cheeks were flushed, her hair slightly mussed. She kissed me on the cheek, told me the class had run late. I forced a smile, nodding as if I believed her. But inside, I was already breaking. After that night, everything felt like a performance. Clara moved around the house as if nothing had changed, smiling, laughing, asking about my day. And I played along because I didn't know what else to do. It was surreal, sleeping next to her, sharing coffee in the mornings, pretending we were still us. But every glance, every touch felt hollow, tainted. I couldn't stop seeing the image of her stepping into his car. It looped in my mind like a cruel reel I couldn't turn off. The worst part? She was more affectionate. It was subtle, but I noticed. She kissed me a little longer before leaving for class, texted me sweet little notes during the day. It felt rehearsed, like she was overcompensating for something. I started paying closer attention. Her phone, once casually left on the counter, was always on silent now. She never left it unattended. If it buzzed, she'd pick it up immediately, even mid-conversation. Her studio nights became more frequent, and the time she spent away stretched later and later. I knew I needed proof, something undeniable. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to confront her with the truth she couldn't wriggle out of. So I did something I never imagined I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus, a quiet man with sharp eyes who asked few questions but gave direct answers. When I explained the situation, he didn't even blink. "Give me a week," he said simply. Those 7 days felt like 7 years. I tried to act normal. I went to work, I smiled at my colleagues, I came home and had dinner with her. But inside, I was unraveling. She would tell me about her classmates, how someone was struggling with figure drawing, or how Adrian was organizing a weekend sketching trip for the more dedicated students. I nodded, my chest tight, wondering if she had any idea I already knew. The investigator called me on the 8th day. "Mr. Hayes, I've got what you need. Do you want to see it in person, or should I send it over?" My voice caught in my throat. "Just send it." An hour later, an email arrived. There were photos. Clara and Adrian leaving the art center together. Clara and Adrian at a small cafe, leaning close, his hand on hers. Clara and Adrian entering a hotel on the edge of town, together, and leaving 3 hours later, her hair messy, his shirt untucked. I stared at those pictures until my vision blurred. I thought I'd feel rage. But instead, it was a kind of numbness that seeped into my bones. My mind kept looping through our years together, the way we met, our wedding day, the promises we'd made. All of it felt like someone else's life now. That night, she came home later than usual. I was sitting in the living room, the PI's printed photos spread out on the coffee table. I didn't say a word when she walked in. She froze when she saw me, then her eyes fell to the pictures. Her face went pale. "Jake," she whispered, her bag slipping from her shoulder. I just looked at her. "So, this is what you've been doing on your studio nights?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Finally, she whispered, "It's not what you think." I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound that didn't even feel like it came from me. Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think it is. She stepped closer, her hands trembling. I didn't mean for it to happen. It started with just talking. He listened to me in a way you haven't lately. I felt seen. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stood, feeling something snap inside me. So that's your excuse? I didn't see you enough? That's how you justify sneaking around, lying to my face. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't plan this. I swear I still love you. I held up a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. Don't you dare say you love me. You don't get to say that while you're running around with him. She flinched like I'd slapped her. For a moment, there was silence. Just the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I wanted to tell you, she whispered, her voice breaking. But I didn't know how to stop. With Adrian, I felt alive again. I felt like the woman I used to be before everything became routine. I stared at her, barely recognizing the person in front of me. You threw away our marriage for what? I asked, my voice low. A fling with some guy from a drawing course? Was it worth it? She covered her face with her hands, sobbing softly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't want this to end like this. I felt the anger simmering beneath the numbness, but it didn't erupt. Instead, I just shook my head. You already ended it, Clara. You just didn't have the guts to admit it until I caught you. I walked past her, into the bedroom, and shut the door. That night, I lay awake on the edge of the bed, listening to her quiet sobs from the living room. And for the first time since I'd met her, I felt absolutely nothing. I woke up the next morning feeling hollow. Clara hadn't come to bed. I could hear her moving quietly in the kitchen, probably making coffee like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. When I finally walked out, she looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. She'd barely slept, I could tell. She opened her mouth to speak, but I didn't let her. I'm leaving for a few days, I said simply. She flinched, as if bracing for a blow. Jake, please, can we talk? I can't explain. Explain what? I snapped, finally feeling the anger I'd been holding back. Explain how you spent months lying to my face. How you walked out of this house, into his arms, then came back to me like nothing happened. There's nothing left to explain. Tears welled up again, but she didn't argue. Maybe she knew she didn't have the right. I packed a bag and walked out without another word. For the next 3 days, I stayed at a hotel near the office. I needed space. I needed clarity. I needed to figure out if there was anything left worth salvaging, or if I even wanted to. During those long, quiet nights, I replayed our entire relationship in my head. The good times, the laughter, the dreams we once shared. And then the slow, creeping distance that neither of us seemed to notice until it was too late. I couldn't decide which hurt more, the betrayal itself, or the realization that the woman I thought I knew was capable of it. On the 4th day, Clara called. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was shaky. Jake, I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know I ruined everything. But please come home. Let's talk. Please. Part of me wanted to delete the message. Another part of me wanted to hear her out, if only for closure. So I went back. When I walked into the house, she was sitting at the dining table, hands clasped like a nervous child. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of her own choices had crushed her. She didn't rush to hug me. She didn't try to touch me. She just looked up with glassy eyes. I ended it with Adrian, she said quietly. I told him it was a mistake. It's over. I stood there unmoved. It should have never started. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. You're right. It shouldn't have. I don't have an excuse. I was lonely. I felt unseen, and I made the worst decision of my life. I hate myself for it. I sat down across from her, feeling strangely calm. Clara, you didn't just make a mistake. You made a choice. And you kept making that choice every time you saw him. She buried her face in her hands. I know. I can't undo it. I still love you. I want to fix this, if you'll let me. I stared at her for a long time. Do you even know what you want? I asked finally. Or do you just want to avoid losing what's comfortable? She lifted her head, meeting my gaze. I want you. Not him. I want us. But I know it might be too late. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. I thought about forgiveness, about what it would mean to try. Could I ever look at her the same way? Could I touch her without thinking of his hands on her? Could I believe her the next time she said, I love you? I didn't know the answer. But I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't just slip back into what we had. That life was gone. I don't have an answer for you, I said finally. I don't know if I can forgive you. And I don't know if I even want to try. Her face crumpled, but she didn't beg. She just nodded slowly. If you want me to leave, I will. Just tell me. I shook my head. No. I'm the one who's leaving. At least for now. I need time. I need to figure out if there's anything left in me that still believes in us. I stood, grabbed my bag, and walked toward the door. She followed me with her eyes, but didn't move. As I stepped outside, she whispered, I'll wait for you. No matter what you decide. I didn't answer. It's been 6 weeks since that day. I moved into a small apartment downtown. Clara's tried reaching out, text messages, emails, even handwritten letters. She says she's still going to therapy, still trying to understand why she did what she did. And me? I'm still deciding. Some days, I miss her so much it hurts. Other days, I feel nothing but relief that I'm free from the lie. I've learned one thing, though. Betrayal doesn't just break your trust. It breaks the version of yourself that believed love was enough to keep someone loyal. Whether I ever go back to her or not, I'll never be the same man who first encouraged her to take that drawing course. And maybe that's the real tragedy.